So we finally know who are the 12 teams in the Super 12s of the ICC World T20 2022.
In fact, as Big Boy succulently puts it, congrats to Sri Lanka, Netherlands, Ireland, and Zimbabwe.
Yes, so after the qualifiers, which started a couple of days back, we now have our 4 teams. Let me tell you the 4 teams according to the classifications. A1, Sri Lanka. A2, the Netherlands. B1 is Zimbabwe. And B2 is you can say Ireland after dumping out the West Indies. So India's group, which is group 2, is like this. India, Pakistan, South Africa, Bangladesh, the Netherlands, and Zimbabwe.
So all things considered, that's I think a group which India would be very, very happy with.
Very happy about. So India's 2 games at the MCG, which they will play on October 23rd and November 6th, is now finalized. October 23, as we all know, is against Pakistan, and November 6th, which will be India's final league game, that will be against Zimbabwe at the G. So Sri Lanka and Ireland have gone into Group 1. So this is how the group is in that one. Australia, England, New Zealand, Afghanistan, Sri Lanka, and Ireland. You've got to feel bad for the Irish though. They are in a pretty tough group.
Very tough group.
Considering that 5 out of the 6 are bona fide title contenders in that group itself. Australia are favourites, England are favourites, New Zealand
Can never be counted out.
do punch above their weight, and don't forget Sri Lanka. They are the Asia Cup champions, and Afghanistan also in that group have a better record against the Irish. So it is going to be a very intense group. And remember, there was a slight confusion as to who would top Group B, because Ireland's win against the 2-time champions West Indies drastically improved their net run rate.
Correct.
They were minus 0.4 at the start of the match. Then they went to then plus 0.11. Zimbabwe, who had an even net run rate of 0.00, now won with 10 balls to spare against the Scots, and that is why their net run rate went to 0.2.
Yeah, and of course they were always in the better position because they were at a even net run rate, 0. It's
Yes.
better than being negative because it means whatever gets added is only added. So
I mean, this is a very big tragedy if you were to look at the qualifiers. 2 teams who had the best net run rate in the entire league, both of them are not playing. Namibia had a brilliant net run rate, but they crashed out after losing to the UAE. Scotland had a net run rate of plus 0.759, and they are also not qualified for the main Super 12s of the ICC T20.
the irony of this is that we were all talking so much about net run rate, this, that, and really it's mostly just come down to points. Even today, it was a simple equation. Unless rain played spoil sport, there was no way that the net run rate was coming into play. You knew whichever 2 teams won were through. Yeah, you don't know after that what the net run rate does, but as long as you qualify, right?
Yep. So it was yet again a superb performance from 2 of Zimbabwe's veterans with the bat, Craig Irwin and Sikandar Raza.
And Raza, of course, we know has been a man possessed in recent times.
Yep, ever since he gave that speech after Zimbabwe lost to the UAE in that ICC World Cup qualifiers, Zimbabwe have been on a mission to just ensure that they feature consistently in major ICC events.
Correct.
Now, in Australia, remember, prior to this in July, there was a 3-match ODI series against the Australians. Zimbabwe won for the first time in Australia by beating them in an ODI. So now, having qualified for the Super 12s, you can say that, okay, maybe Zimbabwe now are a tricky opponent at best.
Yeah.
But they are in a relatively easy group considering Zimbabwe, Netherlands, India, Pakistan, South Africa, and Bangladesh.
Yeah, I think for Zimbabwe, and I remember speaking to their coach a few months back ahead of the India-Zimbabwe series, and he had said that the bare minimum for us when we actually go into these qualifiers is that we want to be playing the tournament. But given the kind of group they're in, they could actually be considering themselves, favorites to maybe even win a game or 2.
Yeah, I mean, Zimbabwe versus Netherlands, Zimbabwe versus Bangladesh. Remember,
Bangladesh have
the
been in
fight of the
torrid form.
ultimate minnows. The fight of the ultimate minnows in world cricket, Zimbabwe versus Bangladesh is the minnows' ashes.
Correct.
That much of ego, that much of emotion, that much of passion is there. Bangladesh reserves it only for Zimbabwe, unfortunately, and not for any other team. So, once again, let me reiterate the 12 teams who are there in this ICC World T20 after this first round of qualifiers. Group 1, Australia, England, New Zealand, Afghanistan, Ireland, and Sri Lanka. In Group 2, India, Pakistan, South Africa, Bangladesh, Zimbabwe, and the Netherlands. These are your 12 teams in the ICC World T20 2022.
Of course, the teams now have been confirmed. And don't forget, the tournament starts properly from tomorrow because the Super 12s get underway. Australia versus New Zealand. That's the first major fixture.
The Trans-Tasman rivals collide at the Sydney Cricket Ground. And remember, rain is scheduled to play havoc even in that match
and
well.
even potentially,
Yes, according to the latest weather report in Melbourne, it is pouring at the moment, and the weather forecast for Saturday is not looking very promising either.
For Sunday too.
There is a faint glimmer, 65% chance of rain on Sunday, but we hope that towards the evening time
it does
goes improve because the drainage system at the Melbourne Cricket Ground is really, really good. But remember, 2 matches actually take place tomorrow, Shane. We have been only focusing upon Australia, New Zealand, Australia, New Zealand, but actually one more match is happening, that is England versus Afghanistan. No, not England versus Afghanistan. I'm very, very sorry. Yes, it is England versus Afghanistan at the new Perth Stadium.
Right, correct.
Yeah, England versus Afghanistan
at the Optus Stadium.
At the Optus Stadium. But there is no threat of rain there. But the Sydney game is threatened by rain. So let's see how Australia and New Zealand cope up. If points are shared, then I think it's a big escape for the Black Caps because...
And if points are shared, then it actually blows the group wide open.
Australia, yet again, like in 2021, were in a very tough group indeed. I mean, that 2021 group was a real toughie. I mean, look at it. Australia, England, South Africa, Sri Lanka, and you also had the West Indies and Bangladesh in that. So that also was a pretty tough group of death. So yes, congratulations to Zimbabwe, congratulations to the Netherlands. We'll just say for these two, Sri Lanka were expected to qualify, although by the barest of margins.
Yeah, because remember, after they lost their first game, most people were worried that they might not qualify.
Yeah.
There was a legit chance.
Babar Rizwan, ton incoming loading versus Zimbabwe. As usual, there he's labelled Zimbabwe, but that's for another day altogether. So Zimbabwe are through to the Super 12. They will be in India's group and they will play them on November 6th at the MCG. And on the other hand, Netherlands, who qualified from this group, play India on October 27th at the Sydney Cricket Ground. So the qualifiers are done. It's now time for the first match tomorrow.
To join us for those as well, and of course, to the day.
At the end of the day, like, comment and subscribe, and we are also there on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. And don't forget to check out the Sports Thug website, English, as well as download the Sports Thug app.
Thank you all for joining us.
Bye-bye. Vanakkam.